What is up, bros and broettes? I'm Inkslasher, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Black Ops 3, specifically about DLC weapons in Black Ops 3, because recently they've added more and more DLC weapons to Black Ops 3, and I think it's going to be interesting to break it down and look at the top 5 best DLC weapons in Black Ops 3, because that way, when you're opening your supply drops, you can really know what the best things to look for are. So as always, when I make one of these top 5 lists, a lot of this does come down to personal preference. What weapons people prefer the most, and people are going to disagree. So feel free to let me know down in the comment section below which one of these weapons is your favorite. Maybe it's one I don't even mention on the list, but feel free to let me know in the comments what is your favorite DLC weapon. Now, the main things I'm going to be looking at when it comes to these DLC weapons are, first of all, time to kill. How long does it actually take to kill someone? The damage profile, fire rate, and the smaller stats like reload speed and some other things you'll see too. And the one other thing I will say is, since these are kind of controversial videos because people are always going to argue about which weapon is the best, it would be really greatly appreciated if you could hit that like button, because of course, because it's controversial, a lot of people are going to hit that dislike button. So all I ask is, if you enjoy the video, feel free to hit that like button, but I'm actually going to start out by cheating a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because I'm going to give 2 honorable mentions, the first of which is the Peacekeeper Mark II. Now, the basic reason of why this weapon only gets a honorable mention is because it has a really slow time to kill. In fact, for assault rifles, it has one of the slowest time to kills out of all of the assault rifles. The reason why it still makes this list, though, is because of how accurate this weapon is. With this weapon, it has almost no recoil, and on top of that, it basically has a built-in stock, so you can completely strafe while shooting at people. And because of the mix of those two things, that is why this weapon's actually pretty decent. Now, compared to the other weapons that we're going to look at today, the time to kill on the Peacekeeper is just nowhere near the other weapons, and that is why it didn't quite make the list. Now, on the opposite spectrum of this, we have a completely different weapon, the LV8 Basilisk. Now, this weapon, once again, is an assault rifle. The difference is, though, is this weapon technically has the fastest time to kill in the game. It beats out the M16 XR2. It's an assault rifle with a 1,000 RPM fire rate. It's absolutely insane. There is one problem with this weapon, though, and it's that every time you pull the trigger with this weapon, it takes 0.3 seconds to actually start shooting. And because of that one stat alone, every time you calculate a time to kill, you have to add 0.3 seconds to your time to kill. So your minimum time to kill with this weapon is 0.4 seconds. And to compare that to something like the M16, XR2, M8A7 that have like a 0.18 second time to kill, you'll just get destroyed in a gunfight. Even though, if you do get your bullets on target, this weapon does absolutely melt people. Coming in at number 5, we have the PPSH, and originally when I made this list of the top 5 DLC weapons, I didn't actually have this weapon on the list. I had the AK-74U, but when I really looked at the stats and really figured it out, the PPSH is definitely better than the 74U. The main reason why is the fire rate. The PPSH has a fire rate of 895 RPM, which is super fast for any weapon in the game, whereas the 74U only had a 652 fire rate, and because of that, the PPSH always has a better time to kill, and that's the main reason. But I don't actually have the PPSH, and that's why I didn't originally think to put it on this list. Now, I did get my hands on it, and I did get to try it out a little bit, and based on trying it, it's basically a little bit worse Vesper. It has a little bit worse time to kill than the Vesper, but has less recoil. So it's not quite as good, but it has less recoil. So in other words, it's easier to use with a slower time to kill. Definitely a very good weapon, and if you get your hands on this thing, you're definitely very lucky. Now, conveniently coming in at number 4, we have the HLX4. Now, the basic way to look at this is a slightly better version of the PPSH. Now, the reason why I say that is because it has a better fire rate, a better damage profile, and therefore a better time to kill at every single range. In fact, I personally believe that this weapon is better than the Vesper and gives the VMP a run for its money. It's a very good weapon, but the downside to this weapon is that if you're shooting at one person and then stop shooting and try to shoot at another person, there's a little bit of a grace period that it takes between that. It's about 0.65 seconds, and what this means is that if you're shooting at one person, don't stop shooting to shoot at the second person. Of course, because of this, you don't get any aim assist between those 2 times, but it's the only way to avoid that 0.65 seconds. The rest of the stats on this weapon are very good, especially the damage profile and fire rate, and of course, because of that, the time to kill on this weapon. This next weapon is probably going to be the most debated weapon on this list, and it's the FFAR. Now, personally, this is my favorite weapon on this list. I absolutely love this weapon, and I think it's one of the best weapons in the game. However, I think a lot of people are going to think the KVK 99M deserves this spot on the list. And don't get me wrong, the KVK, aka the AN94, is a very, very good weapon, but there's a very specific reason why I think the FFAR deserves this spot. There's a type of assault rifle in Black Ops 3 that I like to call your average assault rifle, like your ICR, Peacekeeper, and finally HVK-30. And they're basically your low damage assault rifles with middle of the road fire rates that don't have an insanely fast time to kill, but a good time to kill that are really accurate. Basically, this assault rifle blows those out of the water. They have the exact same damage profile, but a much faster fire rate, and because of that, the FFAR has a faster time to kill than every single one of those weapons at every range. So it's better than the HVK, better than the ICR-1, and better than the Peacekeeper. It may even be pay to win if you call it that. Now, if you're wondering what the fire rate of this weapon is, it's 800, which other than the LV8 Basilisk, which we already talked about the problems with that weapon, is the fastest assault rifle other than that, which means that the time to kill on this weapon is one of the best out of all of the assault rifles. Now, the one downside to this weapon is it does have quite a bit of recoil. However, this can be counteracted by throwing a grip on or the boa sight, because as we've talked about on this channel before, the boa sight actually reduces your recoil. I personally find that if I just put the boa sight on, I don't even need grip on this weapon, and with the incredibly fast time to kill, it just becomes one of the best weapons in the game. But let me know what you think. Do you think the KVK deserved the spot over the FFAR, or do you think I was right in putting the FFAR on the list? Let me know in the comments. Now, coming in at number 2, we've got the weapon you should have seen coming a mile away, the Marshall 16. Now, this weapon is a sidearm, and it's going to be the only sidearm on this list, but this weapon, in my mind, is overpowered. Now, the one reason why I believe this weapon is overpowered is because it's a sidearm. Now, this is a shotgun pistol. It fires 2 shotgun shells at a time, but because of this, it is so strong. In fact, the 1 bullet kill range of this weapon is the exact same as the KRM, which is a primary shotgun. So let's say you're running a class where you're running an assault rifle and you also want to run a shotgun. There is now no point in using overkill to use the KRM when you can just equip the Marshall and it does the exact same thing. Not to mention, you can use the Marshall's akimboed, which just makes it that much more powerful. Personally, if you ask me, if this weapon would have came out and it would have been a primary weapon as a shotgun, it wouldn't have been overpowered. The fact that you can use this thing as a sidearm and it's compared to the other pistols in the game, that is what makes this weapon so good and why it's number 2 on the list. And coming in at number 1, if you've seen any of my recent videos talking about DLC weapons or versus videos, you had to see this one coming a mile away, and it is the M16. I can't tell you in words how good this weapon actually is. Basically, what this weapon is the XR2 on steroids. Basically, the XR2 with a faster rate of fire. The thing that really makes this weapon overpowered, though, is the attachment high caliber. Because if you get one headshot with this weapon with high caliber, it is a 2-bullet kill, leaving you with a 0.12 second time to kill, which is just insane and by far the fastest in the game. In fact, recently I made a video saying that this may be the best weapon in the game, let alone the best DLC weapon in the game. It even gives the M8A7 a run for its money, which is just insane. And overall, for the reason that you can have a 0.12 second time to kill up until 50 meters, is why I say this weapon is the best DLC weapon in the game. But let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? Personally, I think this order is pretty good, but did I miss any weapons? Should the KVK have been on this list? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed the video, it would be very greatly appreciated if you hit that like button, and if you like what you saw, it'd be fantastic if you could subscribe to the channel, as I upload new Call of Duty videos every single day of the week. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time guys, peace out.